Hello, everyone, anyone. This is y'all, and here is my Age of Decadence finale slash impression slash semi half review. I haven't really come up with the best title for this yet. It's probably like why I stopped playing or why I stopped LPing. I was thinking about this for a while. I hate it when I'm on a gameplay channel and all of a sudden you're just like you're into someone's LP and then it just stops. And maybe you're one of the only people who's interested in that particular LP, but it just stops. And it's probably stopping because there wasn't that much interest to begin with, or maybe the person making it didn't care enough about it. So I thought, why not actually bring conclusion or a little bit of closure and explain my reasonings for why I stopped playing Age of Decadence or making an LP of it. First off, I was going to say that there is always this kind of weird rule with myself that I'm breaking. I'm breaking just by making sure I get the videos out, but there's this thing that I like to think of as like the 3-day rule, right? To where you have to, if you don't play a game, if you take a break for like over 3 days, for me, getting back into that game is really tough. And when I started with Age of Decadence being the only game, it was easy to keep going and keep doing that. But then when I introduced Divinity Original Sin and that was taking off on the channel, and like let's face it, was a heck of a lot more fun to LP and just play in general. It's made it so that my Age of Decadence videos were becoming harder to put out, especially because the reading involved there, and it made it so that my 3-day rule kept passing. So every single time I kept getting into Age of Decadence, I had to make sure I had to get into it again. Get into the mindset, get into the world, and get into the controls too, because you guys can see how I'll mess up the controls all the time from switching from one game to the next. But anyway, that's kind of my reasoning for some of that sort of stuff. But I was going to kind of wrap this up with a bit of a review side of things. I think yesterday, actually, I was really bummed. I didn't find out about it until David Bowie's passing, until like really late at night. And I don't know, for some reason, I had this idea for this particular show earlier, but that's when it kind of hit me. It's like, you know what? Sometimes things and endings are kind of important and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, I'm not saying I'm never going to play Age of Decadence again, but I'm just saying that right now the LP is El Dedo, so that way no one's going to be wondering what's going on with it. Because people probably figured this out already, but hey. So I'm going to start with the positives of Age of Decadence. Unfortunately, there's not too much footage because this is before I got my big old drive, so there's not gonna be a lot of footage to show you guys. So, but the big positives of Age of Decadence is they did create an absolutely unique world. This is post-apocalyptic Rome after some sort of disaster that happened involving mages or something and gods. Or to be completely honest with you, the more I read, the more I was like, what? And it was a very low magic sort of world, but they did make a tactical RPG that was very unique in its setting. That was one of the big selling points to me when I first got it. Is that, wow, post-apocalyptic Rome? That sounds awesome. That just seems like something I've never seen before, and I'm quite interested by that. That was a very cool aspect of it. Second, they made a really interesting and viable skill system to where how you were able to level up your character. There was a lot of interesting paths you can go and how you were deciding to make your character, which was a positive, but unfortunately leads into the negatives, which I'll get into after the positives. Last little bit of positive is that they really sold the game to me when I was initially buying it. And the people, you could tell there was a lot of heart and soul put into this game by the developers. And I think they did a great job. And it was sold in kind of like, you know what? In this sort of world is harsh. It's people are gonna die, and just really look out for number one. Look out for number one, and it really does actually sell that pretty well. You got to make your decisions. You're gonna have to screw over people. You can't be the nice guys. It's pretty much impossible to be the nice guy in Age of Decadence, which is a good thing because they definitely made their world work. So on the flip side of all of my positive points, to the negatives, I mentioned the skill system. The skill system is pretty cool because of what it makes you do, but man, you really have to specialize. You have to specialize to where pretty much if you're going to be a fighter type character, well, you better get one weapon. You better do dodge or shield or whatever, either dodge or shield, block or whatever it was. Choose one or the other, and then you kind of have room for maybe one more like kind of trait there, but you also have to worry about critical strike if you have to be doing some of the missions that way. So it made it so the game had a lot of replayability, but at the same time, it's like if you're LPing it, especially and you're reading out the whole sort of stuff. Oh Lord, I have no desire to LP and replay as like a merchant who has more people to talk to, which leads me to another little negative aspect of the game, is just the dialogue. In general, they've got some good dialogue. They've got some dialogue. There's way too many NPCs who are just sitting around, like pretty much not doing anything but like using their freaking flint and something, whatever you light a fire back then, and smoking hashish or whatever the heck they're doing on the side ground. There's a lot of like just people who are there. The people that would be in like Fallout would just be like, Fallout or Settler or something like that, or Commoner. There were so many of those people that you couldn't interact with, so the world was surprisingly felt very empty in that sense. And when you were talking to people, it was kind of like exposition dumps, to where it felt like we could get this across a little bit more succinctly, to perhaps help speed along the story. Now, I only took it from the perspective of playing a little bit before the LP of being a Legionnaire, and then the rest of it I kind of got stuck being half thief and half other something else, just fighter along the way. Quickly jumping back to the positives, the review, of the review part is that the arena part was fantastic. That was awesome. Actually, I really enjoyed that, even though I couldn't beat that final guy. And to be honest, you really have got to have your combat skills up, or just totally cheap. To be a cheap person to just like poke him to death with your spear or be higher level. I don't know. But back to the negative thing is that the story stuff here, and the problem with the story being about you got to take care of number one, you got to take care of yourself, is that name a character other than Zial, my character. Name one that you can remember. Name one that you cared about. Name one that you thought was interesting and you wanted to find out more about. Fang? Maybe? I guess. I remember Fang. I think because his name was in the title. Some of the people in the Thieves Guild, but they don't. The problem is that with so little time to kind of characterize the characters, like when I got into fights, it's like, oh no, so and so died. I don't care. Just some guy, just some dude. Another Legionnaire bites the dust, and that was definitely part of the problem. Is that the story kind of made it so that you only really care about yourself, which is fine, but the supporting cast was basically just exposition guys and quest givers. Kind of a bummer. Also, going back to the mechanics of the battle system, on the positive side, it was an interesting because you could do different strikes to different parts of the body. Fantastic, kind of like VATS and Fallout, to be able to do different sort of crippling effects to the enemy. Very positive, very cool thing. Negative to that is that since it's a single player tactical RPG, it's also very boring when like these huge giant battles happen, because for the most part I kind of just sat back there. It's like, okay, and this guy hits this guy and he strikes for his legs, and I'm just like, bring out the announcer voice. Well, here comes the spear hit to this. Oh, he dodged. The block has happened. Fantastic. I just covered up my face for that terrible effect there. But a lot of times you're watching and you're just waiting for your chance to strike, and the best strategy in most of those fights is stand behind the other guys. Let them take the punishment for you instead of you. And that makes it so that the replayability a little bit is just kind of like, especially in combat, is there's a lot of times you're just kind of watching the combat happen, which can be a bit of a bummer. And because you're so specialized in your skills, it makes it so that you pretty much, well, I was a spear wielder and I was a dodger, had some critical strike. I think I put some points in streetwise, and that was about it. And so, I didn't have a chance to do too many more interesting things other than throw bombs. And stuff like alchemy and stuff could have probably opened up the game. I think my big suggestion I would give to people is that checking out the crafting side of things would probably made things a lot more interesting, and I didn't do that. Mainly because it seemed when I did my trying out the game before I did the LP, it seemed a little bit cumbersome, and I was more concerned about getting a character who could actually fight, because I was tired. Because when I did my Legionnaire playthrough, I got to a point where it's just like, wow, I don't have nearly enough combat stats to be able to take care of this, and there wasn't really much else I could do for questing or gaining points. So anyway, wrapping this up into my final thoughts. The final thoughts is that Age of Decadence is absolutely a game that's worth a playthrough, and it's worth supporting developers because it came up with a lot of unique ideas. But I believe the initial price tag of it was $30. In fact, if you excuse my little clickies, I'm actually going to look that up because I have to make sure, because I don't want to give fraudulent information here. But yeah, they're asking for $30 without it being on sale. I think I got it like 10% off because I got it before it was maybe even a little less than that because I got it before it was. And for $30, oh heck no, it is not worth that price. It's worth the price to developers, and they worked really hard, and they can mark the price however they want. But absolutely do buy this game on sale, because while there's a lot of replayability, there's definitely some negative aspects that they're going to grind on you. They're going to they're going to get to you a little bit, because the whole idea is that when you have a game that's going to let it replay stuff, it's kind of sort of like a roguelike, but it's a roguelike with a story, and you're going to find yourself talking to Lore Master Feng and going skip a few freaking times, you know what I mean? But there's a lot of cool aspects to it. I just recommend it, kind of like on a Steam Summer Sale sort of position. And I'm trying to think of the other big thing about this. Just kind of going with my free roaming rambling style, no script. That's how I usually do most of these things. The combat is fun, but the problem is that since there's only just you, it makes it so that it was surprisingly, it could be fast paced at times, but surprisingly so slow paced when other players are involved. And I found that it was just kind of flat die rolls versus others, and you had to over specialize, like I was saying before. So really, the thing about it is that if you decide to play a character, it's like, okay, choose 3 skills, those are your skills, done. Anything beyond that, you're risking a lot. But definitely try it out. This is a game that you want to try out and play for yourself. It is a terrible game to LP for me, just because I try to read out the dialogue, and the dialogue kind of gets dumped on you in these big exposition dumps, and I can't make enough funny voices for some of these players, because every single man sounds like they have this gruff voice, or they all seem like they would. They have the Batman voice, I'm the knight, or I am slightly different sounding voice guy, and it got to be a little tedious after a while with how ridiculous it was with making all the different voices. So the story was a little weak in that realm, and you don't care about any of the sort of characters. So all in all, pick it up on a sale. And the reason why I stopped playing was just I was having a hard time getting into it. Every time I saw it, and it's like, I really should make the next LP for this. I was just like, yeah, but why not make another one of Divinity instead? Because that's way more fun. And generally, when it starts feeling like it's work, it comes across like that in the LP. And I don't want anyone to, as soon as they hear that, then that's what pops out. So anyway, long rambling explanation over. And I hope that you guys are having a great day. And I just wanted to give fans of the Age of Decadence a little bit of closure and letting them know what's up and the reason why I stopped playing it. Doesn't mean I never will again. I definitely think it's not really the greatest game to LP, but I'm hoping that me having played it for when I did gave it a little bit of the attention that it deserved, because the developers did a very nice job in making a unique world that is worth visiting. I'm just not quite sure the price of admission is worth it right now. So thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the next episode of something else, because it won't be Age of Decadence. Thank you very much. See ya.